From Hollywood to your hood, public breakdowns are everywhere. But what if we turn gossip into growth? On Allegedly, we react to the wildest viral stories, celebs spiraling, influencers breaking down, and infamous moments you can't unsee. But we don't just watch, we work. We break it down, do the self-work, and find the breakthrough hiding in their mistakes. New episodes drop every Monday on YouTube at My Coach Ministry, because your healing might just begin with someone else's headline. Allegedly, where the breakdown is the beginning of your breakthrough.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right. Thank you so much for staying with me so far. We're still in Refresh, Relax, Renew podcast 27. And this is our third and final segment, Allegedly. Allegedly. Anyway, I'm not a singer, but I wish I was. Woo! All right. Someone's having a good time. So now we're on to our third and final segment. And welcome back to Allegedly. This is episode 27. And of course, it's with me, Coach Raquel. And today's topic is not light at all by any means, but it is necessary. It's necessary. We're looking at the unfolding story of Sean Combs, not as gossip, but as a case study in what happens when state power, public narrative, and selective law enforcement merge into persecution, is how I'm seeing it. All right. So that's the topic that we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into the actual topic, there's something I got to share with you. And it is called our copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And so the ones that I'm going to be using it for criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, and research. So fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All right. So, and also on my own part, before I proceed, I want to say this as my own personal disclaimer. Being here, gathering here with you is about empowerment of self, so that we can empower our families, so that we can empower our community and strengthen our community, so that we can advance and we can thrive. So as we talk about this story, as I said, this is not just about here to take joy in what's happening with a man, or even just to lament it. That's not why we're here either. We are here to explore the breakdowns so that we can be inspired to do our self-work. So if we go through this entire segment and you don't stop to think about your own actions, your own life, your own breakthroughs and breakdowns, then the purpose here is lost. Okay, this is not about focusing on Sean Combs. It's about focusing on self as we explore and look at his story that God allowed for us to have exposure to, because there are lessons here that the divine wants us to learn. So we want to learn it because we don't want to get back. We don't want to come back here. We don't want to repeat. Okay. So we want to learn the lesson, and we don't want to repeat it in our own lives. All right. So that's why we're here. So we're here to explore his story and thank him. We thank Sean. We thank the security forces. We thank the judicial systems. We thank the lawyers, the legal system, everything, everybody, his family, their family. We thank everyone who is connected to this story in every way. If there were victims, we thank the victims. If there are perpetrators, we thank the perpetrators. We thank them all for enduring all of this breakdown, all of this travesty, all of this pain, all of this work. We thank them for going through it so we didn't have to, but that we can explore their stories, we can extract the lessons, and we can become empowered by the lessons from this entire experience. And that's what I'm going to be talking about.
Weinstein Diddy's case is headed for reversal, and it's not for the reasons you think. It's much darker. Diddy's case started with Damian Williams as the lead prosecutor, a black man, but he was forced to resign so the government could bring in a white woman, Maureen Comey, the daughter of FBI Director James Comey, who's now indicted. Maureen Comey isn't some random prosecutor. She's the cleanup crew, brought in to do what the government wants, legal or illegal. Remember, she prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and we all know how that went. She's got the Epstein files, and she's got the Diddy files. She was brought in to frame Diddy for trafficking with zero evidence whatsoever, and Diddy's judge did everything Comey wanted. He let in so much evidence improperly, he went so far as to let people testify at sentencing who weren't even Diddy's victims. This case is an example of something that happens every day in the courtroom. Prosecutor and judge working together to convict a defendant before the facts even come to light. So if you want the Epstein or Diddy files, Maureen Comey has them.
Go and watch a case for yourself. Get your own information. Empower yourself through learning what's happening now. Let me share with you what my thoughts are. I followed the case. I followed the people that spoke about it. I got overwhelmed because at one point in time I had to start limiting who am I listening to. And I like to listen to those persons who have the actual transcript, right? Because media today is just different, or maybe it isn't so different. Maybe it's just I now have more access to information, so I'm like, oh, hang on here. Where's the objectivity? I just assumed we were getting objectivity all along, right? But were we? Maybe nothing has changed, and maybe this is exactly how they've always been all along, just giving us the information they think we need, right? And not necessarily being objective. You know what I mean? Because we didn't have a choice. We're not there. We're not on the scene. So we don't get to access all the information. So we just have to trust that what we're getting is correct information. So I like to listen to those who have the actual documentation. And then we have to trust now that they're reading the actual information from the actual thing, because I can have something in front of me, but I'm not reading it. Discernment and instinct, and yeah. Now, so this, I think he's a lawyer, as you can see his thing. And he was just he did a very good introduction. That's what I wanted to share with you. Like, let's just look back at everything. And because what are we looking for at the end of the day? Justice, right? And justice should look like justice for everybody, whether it's Epstein, Sean Combs, anyone. It should follow a certain pattern. It shouldn't deviate from the norm just because these people are popular or because the news stories are going viral. We want to make sure that everyone gets access to a fair justice system, right? Now, this for me, what happened to Sean Combs, to me, was persecution, right? I don't feel like it was just, and it's not just the courts for me that's at fault. I think we're all responsible in some way for what we've allowed to happen to Sean Combs, and we participated. There's actually a clip here that I want to share before I even go any further, because I want these things to be on our minds as I'm talk about the topics I want to talk about today, because I think we ought to be mindful of how we impact our own futures and that of our children, sometimes without awareness of the long-term impact. Yes?
Incentivizing our own people to come against our own people as well. Number one. Number two, when you say you know your rights, shut the hell up. I'm going to say this to y'all so you can really understand exactly what you're dealing with. You are not dealing with sane individuals. A large number and percentage of police officers currently right now are on one or more forms of psychotropic drugs. Listen to what I'm telling you so you can understand exactly who you're dealing with. A number of these people are not in their right mind. They are not sane. Then they are given a license to kill. All they have to say is they fear for their life. Why are you in a position, a job that literally requires you to potentially face death every single day, and you get to run around and say, I fear for my life? That's an oxymoron.
All right, the part that I really want us to focus on is this.
Meaning they are incentivizing our own people to come against our own people. Meaning they are incentivizing our own people to come against our own people.
All right. Sorry, I just wanted to share that. Now, I talked to you about my Dear Little Black Girl thing that I started, that I did a card stock for this, right? And it's inspired by one man's fight for his life and for his truth, right? Now, the thing that hit me the hardest with Combs was when I saw that this man didn't even have a voice. This man did not even have a voice. They didn't just lock him up and deny bail. They put an invisible tape on his lips. He couldn't speak while all the negative chatter was allowed to happen. And that was one of the things that hit me the hardest. This is about, and this is all in my opinion, and everything is alleged. The show is called Allegedly. The segment is called Allegedly. All right. To me, this was about persecution. Not just one man, but about the precedent it sets for all of us. And I may not live in the United States, but we know the impact of the United States, especially in where I live, Jamaica, the Western world. So we can't pretend like what happens there will not have far-reaching implications for us all. All right. So not just against one man, but about the precedent it sets for all of us, for our children, for our families, for our very survival in a system that punishes long before it proves guilt. We're all a part of it. All a part of it, right? Some persons, when they're reporting, they say, oh, I don't like Combs, but I like Sean Combs. How about that? I'm telling you all of this and I like him. I'm not going to come on here to try to appease you by letting you know, oh, I don't like him and he's a piece of this. Sean Combs is a respectable, hardworking man. And that's another thing that we do. We dehumanize people so it makes it okay what happens to them. It's not okay. It is not okay. It's not okay. We're not going to get emotional. Now let's go. So the case and the lesson. Let me go to another video before proceeding.
Judge can't disregard the jury's facts and make up his own. He should be removed. Here's why. First, I don't like Diddy, but you got to put your emotions aside and look at the law objectively, right? Diddy was convicted of one thing: transporting adult prostitutes for his girlfriend Cassie's benefit and pleasure. She was no victim. She was a willful participant and should have been Diddy's co-defendant. That's what the jury found as fact. They determined the facts of the case, not the judge.
That's what the jury, the jury, even as I was watching, when I listened to the things she said, at one point in time, I thought to myself, she's helping him. I think she's under duress because remember, she got immunity. This is a question I have to ask. Isn't the mere fact that someone gets immunity, doesn't that mean they're under duress? Just by virtue of that? They don't necessarily want to be here. And that's why, I don't know, it's a question. I'm not a legal professional, okay? It's just a question. This is a question. But as he's breaking down the dangers of trial by narrative, when the media's analysis starts shaping the judicial process itself, because clearly, in my opinion, and based on what I see, I'm witnessing, the judge believed the media long before, in my opinion, because even with what the juror decided, this man still went in there and talking about Combs was violent. It was violent, and he was Cassie is a victim. And hold on, I thought the men were the victim. Who's the victim here? The men claimed to be victims, but they were paid and they chose what they did. Yeah. The people who supplied the escorts, business still running and booming. The person who the juror decided commissioned the drive, the transportation. He's responsible for providing the transportation. Transportation. This was not a domestic violence case. So I don't even understand why that the video was allowed to be played and still being mentioned in sentencing.
Jury found no assault, no victim, no trafficking, no abuse of women, and no violence. Yet somehow at sentencing, the judge talked about
retrial
all the
at sentencing,
harmed and abused. That's the judge's
great. His
one that the
opinion
judge had before the trial even started.
Influenced by the media, and I mean all media, social media, everything,
not based on the judge's biases.
And before the case even started, I'm like, with what was happening in the media, I'm like, how could this man possibly get a fair trial? And even after the jurors stepped up to the challenge, the judge reverted back. Ay, ay, ay.
While you don't have to like Diddy, there is nothing more improper a judge can do than
Not like him. I like him.
That's facts of the case.
I don't know Sean Combs from nowhere. And I don't know if I used to listen to his music because I'm mostly a country person, but after this happened was when I really went to, and even though I still haven't really gone to search for his music per se, but that was when I started like, let me look up about this man. And every time I looked up, this was a man of accountability and rumors. Listen, you think you're going to get to become a billionaire and you don't have rumors? You're not accused of certain things? Let's continue. I have another one. So I wanted to share that because that man was supposed to be going through a sentencing hearing, but it seemed as if the judge was litigating the case all over again, the judge and the prosecutors. And it's like the judge and the prosecutors were arm in arm is how it came across to me. There shouldn't be this amount of appearance, this heightened appearance of impropriety. This is justice we're talking about. The appearance of impropriety should matter. It should matter. And if it doesn't, this is why we're having this conversation. Let's go. The next clip.
Jesus for
the man who once.
Thank you, Jesus. Now remember, Sean Combs got 4 years and 2 months, 50 months for what the jury decided was only transportation, providing transportation. Let's hammer that in because some people seem to can't grasp that that's all it was because they want him to be under the jail. Ridiculous. But anyway, let's go again with this, huh? Let's start again with this one. So this is another case with another man. So this is a pastor given 6 months after Sean Combs was given 50 months, right? Pastor given 6 months for child sexual, what do you call it? Sexual assault? I think I might be getting it wrong, but they're going to talk about it. And then there's that recent case, a pastor convicted. He confessed reportedly, right? He confessed it. A pastor convicted of child sexual assault, receiving only 6 months. That contrast reveals the inconsistency of our so-called justice system. Public outrage drives sentencing more than law itself. And I'm going to play this, but I want us to focus on the fact that not just that this public outcry, the outrage is not just affecting regular people. Clearly, it is affecting the judges' capacity. The judges. We were worried. For me, I was worried about the juror. The juror couldn't have been fair with Sean Combs because of all the news and everything. But the juror, all along, the juror wasn't even the problem. The judges are also humans. They too are affected. At one point in time, I heard someone saying, it seems as if the judge himself is also taken to Cassie, calling her a victim. You're supposed to be fair. Anyway, let's listen to this one.
Thank you, Jesus, for
The man who once led one of the largest congregations in America. Today, walking into an Oklahoma courthouse, pleading guilty to sexually abusing an underage girl.
This has taken my entire lifetime to get here.
That girl was Cindy Clemishire, now 55. Inside the courtroom, delivering a message to her abuser through tears, as Gateway Church founder Robert Morris admitted to 5 felony counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child in the 80s.
People need to know who he is, that he came.
Admitting to 5 freaking felony counts. Did you hear that? 5 felony counts. 5. Okay.
Into our home as a pedophile, disguised as a preacher.
The abuse began on Christmas night in 1982, Cindy says, when she was 12 and Morris 21. It continued for years, a secret Cindy kept until
It continued for years. 12 years old when it started.
80s.
People need to know who he is, that he came into our home as a pedophile, disguised as a preacher.
The abuse began on Christmas night in 1980.
Where in the media do you hear people saying that this pastor should be under the jail or should just die? You know what's sad about all of this? It revealed who black people are to me. How self-hating we are. Where's the outrage for this? This man admitted 5 felony charges, 12 years old, and it went on for years. You can check out the story elsewhere. I just wanted to show you the contrast. That was the purpose of this. The contrast, not just in the judicial system, but in the public, the contrast. All right? While the case was, I remember with Combs things, I remember at one point in time, his children wanted to, it was his first time in behind bars, going through a birthday, right? And it was his first birthday behind bars, and his kids came together on a call with him to wish him happy birthday. And as usual, like everybody else on social media, they're sharing it. Yes? Okay. No positive messages about this man was allowed to circulate. That action was shut down by the judicial system. Reportedly by the judge. Yes, shut down and seen as jury tampering activity or activities that could lead to. While all the negative news and reports and all the trashing, a flood of negative narratives sanctioned and amplified. Sanctioned and amplified. Courtrooms treating him as guilty beyond what a jury confirmed. What we're witnessing is not justice. It's state-funded persecution, a coordinated siege where the state and media become judge, jury, and executioner. And that is it, in my opinion, what we're seeing right now. And I think if we miss it, we'll pay for having missed it. I have a video here. Judge Dawson explained how justice becomes subjective when prosecutors operate within what he calls the legal matrix, where winning matters more than truth. Let me go to that video. And there's something I want to say, right? What was it? Anyway.
Court, it's Judge Dawson. The legal matrix has spoken. Diddy has been sentenced to 50 months in prison. 4 years and 2 months for his involvement and his conviction in transportation for purposes of prostitution. Look, I've been telling you since the beginning of this trial, the legal matrix is real. In fact, I've been telling you before the trial, I've been preaching this for years. You do not want to get caught in this legal matrix. Why? Because once you are trapped in this system, all it takes is for one judge, like myself, a male or a female, who has now total control over your destiny. So whether you believe Puffy did it or not, whether you believe he should be in jail or not, one fact that we cannot dispute is that this legal matrix is designed to control your life. And best believe 50 months in prison is control. So this judge decided on his own that that's what Diddy should serve. So ladies and gentlemen,
On his own. Did you hear that? Decided on his own.
stay out of trouble, stay out of this matrix, because once it has its grips on you, it will not let go.
How does one, and this is the issue I have, and this is what like, I cannot have children in this system. Like, are we asking people now that whether or not you are created and designed to operate as a perfect being, that you should? Let's remember, Sean Combs is not charged for something he did in 2025, 2024. This was years later. Wasn't it more than a decade later? Yeah, this ended in, his relationship with Cassie reportedly ended in 2018. We're in 2025. 2018, about 7 years later or something, 7-8 years later. I don't know. I'm not a math student, okay? Do the calculation yourself. But this didn't just happen. So what happens with your children who may make a mistake when they're younger or in their early years of dating, and then they become a millionaire? What happens then? All right, because remember, you're not necessarily making the mistake while you're a millionaire, before you become one or a billionaire. It matters. We have to pay attention to these things. It matters. Now let's hear another. There's another person now who's going to talk about he's speaking about the fact that the goal isn't always justice, it's conviction rates. This is a system our children will inherit. You hear what he called it? The legal matrix. Why are we in a matrix? This is crazy.
People for a living, and this is why I never trust the system if I were charged with a crime. I don't trust law enforcement officers. Yeah, they're pretty good people. But when it comes to these cases, my experience has been they want to win. And some of them want to win regardless of the facts of the case. Law enforcement officers are very competitive.
And I truly believe this happened in the Diddy case. Diddy took on this federal system that, according to them, is 98 something percent. That even bragging about that for me is sickening. It's people's lives we're talking about. People's lives. This percentile thing, this percentage thing. Oh, we win almost all our cases. Who the fuck cares? Pardon my language. Like, how many lives have you improved through the justice system? That's the statistics I want to see. How many lives have you made better through the justice system? And I'm not talking about the lives that you didn't touch. I'm talking about how many of your convictions did you work with people and had rehabilitation? How many of the people who you convicted have better life outcomes because you served? That's the statistic I want to see. That's the statistics that's the stats I want to see. Let's keep going.
A lot of them are attorneys. A lot of them are scholar athletes. So they're inherently competitive and they want to win. They're under a lot of pressure, especially when they're put on a witness stand.
And the same thing goes for the prosecutors.
They don't want to be made to look like they've made mistakes. And very few of them will admit that they made a mistake. And none of them want to be the reason that the government's case goes down the tubes and then the defense wins the case. They will do pretty much whatever needs to be done to salvage their case and to win.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? If I were a parent, I'd be really concerned. I'd be really, really concerned for my kids. For my kids. For my kids. Sean Combs is now marked. If he makes a genuine mistake in the future, even something ordinary. Let me get one of his pictures to show up. I don't know why I don't have him. Like, he deserves Sean Combs. This is crazy, people. I want you to not just think of Sean Combs as just a regular person, but remembering that Sean Combs is a human being. He has blood running through his veins. He feels, he hurts, he's a father, his children hurt. We all make mistakes. And even after the Sean Combs case, we all will make more mistakes. We all will make more mistakes. This is not about condoning behavior. That's not what this is about. I'm just going to show you this because it's something, okay? It is something. It's overwhelming. Yes, overwhelming. Now, I want us to remember this man is a human being that we're talking about. He is a father. He has family. It's a human being we're talking about. And when you go and search for his name, all kinds of stuff, it's like he's the poster child for the justice system. We're talking about statistics. You see pictures with him and Cassie. They're happy. They're out living their lives. Little young girls looking up at Cassie thinking that's who I want to become. She was able to snag a billionaire. What are the lies? What kind of environment are you creating for young people just to later shackle them because of the same environment that was created for them to exist in? So Sean Combs is now marked. If he makes a genuine mistake in the future, even something ordinary, even something human, the overreach ensures, in my opinion, it won't be judged fairly. It will be judged as confirmation of guilt. It's like we're saying this man he has to live perfect for the rest of his life. If you let him out, he's going to be dangerous. This is what I say. I say even a murderer has the right to recommit. And I will condone it. He has the right, though, to recommit another murder because he has the right to his freedom without someone predicting justice on him until the act is done. It's not yet done. And when he does it again, then you charge him again. You can't say he might do it, so I need to charge him now. What on earth? What is that? What is that? So this judicial system, as he says, the matrix now control your future, even when you're no longer inside the matrix, even though when you're not in the system anymore, and you've left, they're still dictating, want to charge you now for what they think you may do. Another human being who's just as flawed as you is going to try to predict that you might do something, and then later on you're going to find out what the judges have done themselves. How about just implement the law and leave it right there? How about that? How about implementing the law and leaving the rest? Do your job. Do your job. Do your job. That's it. Don't overdo the job either. Just do your job. Just the job you're hired to do. Do that. Your job. We all need to do our job. The distortion of justice is the new precedent. Families must prepare not only for the trial, but for the long shadow persecution cast over a life. So our strategy, or what I'm recommending, our strategy cannot stop at lawyers. Families must build strong media presence and trusted partnerships, because in this new world, reputation defense is as essential as legal defense. Right? Let's go to another clip.
How do wrongful convictions happen?
It's just the nature of probable cause that it's so low that the only thing that you need is an accusation. One person saying that he did that to me, bam. If the police believe it, that's enough for an arrest. I mean, even with a DWI, you only need 2 clues to get arrested. And so with that, you can get a wrongful conviction because prosecutors don't like saying that the police are wrong, and they don't like being wrong themselves. Once they make a decision that you are probably going to be convicted, then they're going to go after that. And if you don't have the proper defense, or if you just take a bad plea deal, then all of a sudden you got a wrongful conviction.
My God, today. And reportedly, I want to share this information. Let me share this for you to look at and read while we're doing this. Yes. So reportedly, studies show over 5% of U.S. convictions are wrongful, and the majority involve prosecutorial misconduct or withheld evidence. In the Sean Combs case, I remember at one point in time somebody was claimed to be claim Sean hung them over a balcony. They couldn't even remember where it happened. They couldn't even remember. These are discussions I'm sure they would have had before. And there are other things in the case where the defense, they had the information, look at it, know that this isn't true. And then at one point in time, the judge said, said it was a go to say it, but then tell the juror to cross it off. Like, you need to follow this case for yourself, for your family, to understand the things that went into it. This is not just a case of a man being charged because he hit Cassie, which is where the real outrage is. The outrage is that he pounced on her. But all of this had nothing to do with that from the perspective of the law. Maybe people's opinions, maybe the prosecutor's opinions and their feelings, and the judge's opinions and feelings. But as it relates to the charges, that wasn't there. It wasn't proven without the shadow of a doubt. You know, the jurors did not convict him on that. So let's go to another video. Crazy stuff.
I wasn't going to say anything about Diddy, but I understand. And I understand the emotions of this. I understand that there are people that want this man to be underneath a jail.
Nasty
and there are people that don't want this man to even be in jail. They want him to be done with. They want him to be canceled. And then there's people that have championed Sean Puppy Combs because of the fact that he was courageous enough to fight a system.
Absolutely.
And so all I have to say is this. The criminal justice system has got to be used for what it was intended to be used for, which is to prosecute criminals for acts that they have allegedly committed. Okay? You can't, and I'm going to continue to say this, and I know people don't like it. You can't charge somebody with something because you don't like them, and then hope that the sentiment of how you have presented this person's character will cause people to want that person to be convicted of something that they did not do.
Right there.
That is not the purpose or the intent of our system. Now, I know that that's how the system is being used, but as people who want to know what we can do to champion people's rights, that's champion a person's right. Yes, I do not dispute that what he did on those videos that we saw in terms of domestic violence was deplorable.
But that's not what he was charged with.
Unacceptable.
Wasn't convicted
But again, that is not what he's charged with.
Right there.
I understand that there are rumors about the fact that he may have exploited children or minors.
Rumors.
That is not what he was charged with. And believe me, if the federal government thought that they had an ounce of any kind of evidence, even if it was bullshit evidence, they would have charged him with the offense of doing things that he should not have been doing with minors. They would have charged him with that, but they didn't. All I'm asking you to do is, when you talk about championing people's rights, and when you're talking about defending the Constitution, and when you're talking about what you can do as citizens of the United States to fight this system that is developing where people's rights are being trampled on, you remember that when you think of Sean, Puffy, P. Diddy, Combs.
Right there. Right there. Right there. Thank you for making that statement, because we need to understand we are entering a world where accusations carries the same weight as convictions. People, you have children. I ain't got none. But I have nieces and nephews and their children. And me. I have me. Gosh, it could happen to me. The media trials matters more than the courtroom trial. And I feel like the direction that the judge, I can't say the name, so I'm not going to say it, Submarinian or something like that. The direction he took in the sentencing is what, for me, sealed the media approach. It solidified it for me, because I didn't see where he took that into consideration and was intent on making sure that people understand that this is not a media trial. This is a courthouse trial. I think he fell victim to the media too. The media trial matters more than the courtroom trial. Defending yourself after the attack is too late. Defending yourself after the attack is too late. This is not a time to wait until the crisis. This is a time to build protections at conception. The moment you confirm I have a child in here, that is where protection begins. That is where defense begins. That's where insurance begins, in my opinion. It has to be. So the action plan, preparing your family. Now, here's a clip that I'm going to play, because I'm playing the clip because I want us to shift our perspectives on how we see things. We need to read more, because the way we interpret things are important. Here's another clip that I'm going to share. So this clip is a media researchers show that individuals with strong media presence are 60% more likely to control the narrative in public scandals. Listen again. Media researchers show that individuals with strong media presence are 60% more likely to control the narrative in public scandals. Now listen to this.
Person in the world owns X. The second richest person in the world is trying to buy TikTok.
I see where you're going.
The third richest person in the world owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. The fourth richest person in the world owns the Washington Post. We live in a society where less than 10 people control 98% of the narratives and stories that we're actually consuming.
100%.
Potential buyers of TikTok. Rupert Murdoch is part of the group also.
Well, TikTok is already sold to some, according to the report, some Israeli persons. Listen to this, right? Because I think I get his perspective, but that's not how I see it. When I sit and I'm thinking, okay. So if these wealthy people are making these kinds of moves, I'm not mad at them. I'm not seeing them as the problem. I'm seeing me as a problem. How much media do I own? You're lamenting, oh, all of these rich people control the media. That's not the problem, sir. The problem is, where's your media? The problem is this, and this is what it is. We sit on the sidelines and criticize sometimes, not realizing that information is not there for your critique, it's there for your lesson. It's there for you to look at it and say, why would rich people want to own media? Why? These businessmen are successful. You know, when they used to say this, no matter how rich they are, that fame. In this case, it's not fame these people want. They want to have control of narratives. They're investing in wealth. They must control who's going to talk about them. Why don't we see that as important for our own lives, our own families? It's not a critique. They're doing the right thing. They're not just, they are doing, I'm telling you, the way we critique things, send the wrong message to our kids, teach the wrong message in our community. It's not a problem that they're doing. Very good job, wealthy people, for having media. It's a good thing. No, go get yours. Go get your media. Get your media too. Don't criticize them for having theirs. Go get yours. It's telling you how important it is, because if these people are so wealthy and still need to manage conversations about that could impact them, what say you? What says you? All right. So the next one I'm going to do is, because the next thing that I'm realizing that's on the rise, or maybe it always existed, I don't know, but reputation protection is now a reportedly $1 billion industry. Reputation protection is now a $1 billion industry, allegedly, providing that your name's defense is as real as your lawyers.
America holds 1.9 million people behind bars. But here's the truth. Behind that number, the Prison Policy Initiative just released its 2025 Whole Pie Report.
You hear what you said? You call it Whole Pie Report. Whole Pie. Yo.
Breakdown should shock every one of us. Right now, about 1.9 million people are incarcerated in the United States. That includes state prisons, local jails, federal prisons, immigration detention centers, and even juvenile facilities. More than 1.1 million are in state prisons, about 700,000 are in jails, tens of thousands more are in ICE and youth detention. But here's what the report makes clear. Most of these people are not serving life for violent crimes. In fact, nearly half are inside for drug offenses, property crimes, or just sitting in jail pre-trial because they couldn't afford bail. Think about that. Thousands of legally innocent people are behind bars right now because poverty is treated like a crime.
My God.
So let's put this into context. The U.S. makes up 4% of the world's population, but we hold nearly 20% of the world's prisoners. Compare that to countries like Canada or Germany, where incarceration rates are a fraction of ours. The solutions are there. End cash bail for low-level charges, expand diversion and treatment instead of filling cells, shorten excessive sentences, especially for nonviolent cases. Other countries have shown it works, and it saves money while making communities safer.
Remember now, these people are not going into a housing system where they're protected and safe. And oh my gosh, I should have had this clip from Todd Chrisley and his wife on their podcast. The jail is not there to punish you. Going to jail or prison is your punishment. But that's not where the punishment ends. Your life comes in danger. The food, your health becomes vulnerable. The whole person becomes vulnerable. There are persons who don't live to exit the jail. Let's go now to this lady again when she's talking about stacking charges, right? And research shows that former prosecutors have confirmed how stacking charges, filing multiple counts for the same incident, is often used to pressure plea deals, not pursue justice.
the number of people in prison that were innocent.
Really?
Yeah. Because they stack these charges on you. They'll charge you with 20 felonies. And then at the end, when you're beaten down, they say, all right, we'll dismiss 19 of them if you take a guilty plea to the one. Do 5 years. What are you going to do? You're facing 300 years in prison. The feds win 98.2% of their cases, according to ProPublica. 98.2. So do you really want to roll those dice, knowing that you have a 1.8% chance of winning?
Your children. Your children.
As an attorney, it's my job to educate young people. It's my job to make sure that people know what their constitutional rights are, because they're being violated every single day. And you would think that these constitutional rights are being violated by just regular other people. No. They're being violated
by the very
systematically by our government. And we have to do something about that.
Okay. And so in doing something about that, here's my recommendation. First of all, or here are my recommendations. First of all, I believe that we must have defense funds. Every family should have a defense fund. And I believe that each child should have a piece of that defense fund from conception. The moment you realize you're pregnant, start saving towards college, but also save towards the defense of your child. Defense fund. It has to start early. Build a legal safety net like you build a college fund. Number 2, insurance as shields. Again, from conception. From as early as you're able to insure that child. Legal, mental, health, and reputation insurance. Not optional. Essential. Let me say that again. Well, I'll go over all of them when I'm done. Number 3, strong media partnerships. Visibility becomes protection. Relationships with reputable journalists, publicists, or platforms are shields in the age of digital warfare. Get your own website for your family. Start your little family blog, whatever. Like, you need your own media, and then you partner and collaborate with other media entities that you trust. Community media networking. Yes, and collaborating. Number 4, collaborate with your church media, things like that. Number 4, strategic repositioning. Teach your child to understand systems. You've got to educate them. You got to teach them wit, how to pay attention, how to interpret things in their favor, and get rid of this victim mentality. Because if you're viewing everything from the lens of a victim, you'll never demonstrate the capacity for power. You're not a victim. You have power, and you have collective power. Yes? Teach your children how to understand systems, not just survive them. Number 5, get ahead of the fear. Prevention is power. Preparedness is peace. And I want to repeat all 5 of these again. And this time, I want you to hear me. I want you to hear me. Former prosecutors have confirmed how stacking charges, filing multiple counts for the same incident, is often used to pressure plea deals, not pursue justice. Therefore, as families, as parents, as communities, I am recommending these 5 steps. 1, establish a family defense fund and a defense fund for your children starting at birth. Start early. Defense funds at birth. Start early. Build a legal safety net like you build a college fund. Number 2, Insurance as shield. Legal, mental, health, and reputation insurance, not optional anymore. Essential. Number 3, strong media partnerships. Well, I start with own your own media. Own a website. It doesn't have to be a big, powerful website for your family. Own a newspaper, print stuff for your family. Have a system of mass publication for your family, mass media. Something that it's evidence. Publish it first, then file it in your cabinet. See what I'm saying? Publish it first. Make sure it's out there in the public. Yeah, evidence. Strong, and then partner and collaborate with other community members. Collaborate with your church's media. Yeah, strong media partnerships. Visibility becomes protection. Relationships with reputable journalists, publicists, or platforms are shields in the age of digital warfare. Number 4, strategic repositioning. Teach your children to understand systems, not just to survive them. Stop teaching them victimhood. Teach them their power and how to use it with wisdom. Number 5, get ahead of the fear. Prevention is power. Preparedness is peace. I just wanted to say that, right? Now, I want to share with you a spoken word, and I want to, while I'm doing that, I want to put this up. Yeah. If love is real, how can hate exist? How can hands that claim to serve justice build cages before cradles and silence a man's name before the jury even speaks? If love is real, how can systems lie still at night while mothers bury sons not yet convicted, while fathers fund defense funds instead of futures? Because here's the truth. In America, and I'm using America, but it's not just in America, the Western world and other parts of the world too, but in America, over 70% of Black defendants who face high-profile trials are painted guilty by the press before they step into court. Sean Combs received 50 months, while this Caucasian pastor charged, who admitted child sexual assault, charged on 5 felony charges, he is serving 6 months. That's a part of his deal. 6 months. After being given 10 years, he'll only serve 6 months. Come on, people. It's time we stop being our own enemy. They protect their own because they know they're going to need them later for something else. Be careful how you're discarding the very people who have access to the rooms you can't enter to defend yourself. Because nobody is perfect. And I'm not saying you should deny your morals. I'm saying be moral with wisdom, love and care, and fairness. Anyway, in America, over 70% of Black defendants who face high-profile trials are painted guilty by the press before they step into court. The gavel becomes a microphone, the microphone a weapon, and the headlines, they're bullets fired at reputations that will never rise again, or at least that's what they hope for. Look at Vybz Kartel. I don't even know him, you know, but he's thriving. Anyway, or he appears to be. Looks of it, I don't know. If love is real, why does hate have a budget? Why does prosecution have sponsors? Why are billions poured into prisons, into police militarization, while families are told to wait their turn for justice? Sean Combs, a man, not just a mogul, stands as a mirror, not convicted of the harshest charges, yet sentenced as though guilt was tattooed on his very breath. Media silence to the good. State-funded persecution amplified the bad. This is not a trial. This is a siege. And the danger is not finished. This overreach has carved his future in glass. Every genuine mistake, every slip, every stumble can now be treated as confirmation of guilt. This is how persecution distorts justice. It makes a man a permanent target. A permanent target. If I were Sean Combs, I would never feel safe with another woman. I don't know what she will do when she feels like it. And so the lesson, if love is real, our defense must be too. At conception, at birth, at first breath, a fund, a shield, a declaration that not my child, not without a fight. We cannot cry racism after the verdict. We cannot shout brutality after the handcuffs. We cannot call on God and neglect the plan. So families must plan too. Not only defense funds and insurance, but strong media presence and partnerships to guard reputation, to ensure your children are not silenced before they speak. So I ask again, if love is real, how can hate exist? Maybe it exists because love forgot to prepare. But today, we do not forget, we remember. We reposition. We protect. We build before the storm. And when the persecution comes, our children will not stand alone. This is heavy, to say the least. It's extremely heavy. And I'm working so hard not to become emotional about it, because we can't be emotional. Yes, we just can't. We have to be strong. We have to be resilient. You know, we have to become strategic about this. Strategic in our move. We're not victims, we're victors. And these experiences will prepare us for the victory that's coming. I have a quote that I'm going to share on that. But before that, I just want to say this, that Mr. Combs' lawyers plan for an appeal, and here is the clip. So as this episode airs, Sean Combs' legal team has announced plans to appeal. Their statement reminds us that the process is not over, and neither is the precedent. You know what this is, right? Another monetary charge for him. This is more money that he's going to have to spend. More money. An appeal. It's more money. He's bleeding money. How many of us can afford this money? You pay for the trial. You pay for a jury trial. He paid for a jury trial. Yes? But then in his sentencing, the judge decided to overlook, in my opinion and my understanding of what happened, the judge decided, and the lawyer's going to say, to act like he's a third juror. This man paid for a, where is the, and that's why I have this right here that I'm sharing, and I'll read it, share it after the clip. Let's go to the clip.
To appeal, we think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that that is unconstitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
Because he's biased.
What did you make of his remarks?
He's biased. If anyone, I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Well, at least. All right, so this is something I'd like to share. And I think I mentioned it at the beginning, but I have a 100 stack cards that I've written, of course, with the help of research, called The Dear Little Black Girl. And I completed, after being bombarded with all my thoughts about the whole Sean Combs case and everything and how it was affecting me, I went ahead and I did the law edition, People versus Precedent, right? And I'm just going to show it, kind of just browse through it for you. And this is inspired, of course, by Sean Combs, inspired by one man's bold fight, because I believe it was bold and brave, to reclaim his life and his truth. And I remember when he finally had a chance to speak. And when I say that he couldn't speak, is that everything he would have said or will ever say is magnified and scrutinized, it's and held against him as if he nobody deserved that. But let's just go through this, because nobody deserved that. So this is the card stack that I did for the law edition, and yeah, but there's something I want to share. Can it be? Okay, so it reads, Dear Little Black Girl, and you're seeing it, right? Okay, just checking. Dear Little Black Girl, the law edition. Judges, like other licensed professionals, hold qualifications such as Juris Doctor and operate under ethical and procedural standards. Their rulings carry direct financial and social consequences for defendants. When a judge disregards those standards, as in cases where they overrule a jury's verdict or predetermined outcomes, such conduct should not be immune from accountability. This behavior reflects judicial malpractice, gross negligence, or violation of the code of conduct, and it inflicts measurable financial harm. Defendants who have already paid for a fair trial should not be forced to bear additional costs for appeals caused by judicial error or I would say by judicial inserting of themselves and making it about their opinion rather than about the law. And why, if you're going to make it based on why do I need to pay for a jury trial then? Why do I need to spend so much money on a jury trial if you already have made up your mind about my sentence? Yeah? So, today, Calm Collective, today's episode has reminded us that preparation is everything. Whether we're talking about defending our children from state-funded persecution, protecting our names through media partnerships, or simply aligning our missions, or simply aligning our missions with funders who can multiply our vision, the theme is the same. Don't wait until the battle comes. Prepare now. Prepare now.
Unlock your potential every Thursday with our podcast, Refresh, Relax, Renew. Join Coach Raquel as she guides you through personal development journeys. Each episode focuses on actionable steps to enhance your personal journey. The podcast features 3 main segments to keep you engaged. We start with discussions on trending topics relevant to your growth. Then we unbox solutions to common challenges we face daily. Finally, stay updated with fresh funding opportunities each week. Tune in every Thursday for new episodes, and see you there.
Welcome to mycoachministry.com. We're on a mission to empower 1 million purpose-driven entrepreneurs, turning calling into currency. Through strategic coaching, we guide visionary leaders, brand elevation, and creative empowerment, helping leaders break barriers and own their identity. Build impactful, wealth-generating brands that echo across generations.